Hello and welcome back to the Horse Racing Network. I'm joined today by horse racing journalist and broadcaster Paul Auster. Paul, how are you doing?
Very well, and looking forward to this.
I know we're gonna do a quick fire day one Punchestown preview. Let's not mess around. Let's get straight into it. We've got at 4:15 the KPMG. Let me get this right. Novices hurdle. It's running at 4:15. We've got quite a few in here. Paul, we've got a pretty good idea of the decks at this stage. Market headed by the stalwart of day one of the Cheltenham Festival, and that is Kopek de Boards. Do you fancy him, or do you like any of the others here to take him on?
Well, I think this race kind of is going to set the scene for the whole of the Punchestown Festival, where Willie Mullins is set to dominate, because if you want to bet anything other than a Willie Mullins horse in this particular race, you can have 100-1 that something not trained by Willie Mullins is going to win it, because he's got 4 of the 6 runners. And Kopek de Board was so impressive, I thought, against a very good horse at Cheltenham, William Money. And I think it's going to be hard to beat, even though Salvatore Mundi, one of his stable companions, was impressive at Liverpool, at Aintree. But as long as he isn't over the top, which is going to be the question mark around a lot of horses at this time of year who've been on the go all through the season, I think Kopek de Board will win, but he's not going to be a backable price for the likes of you or me.
No, he does look quite a short price. I think the market probably speaks for itself there. Perhaps you could get some value in a forecast to pick one of the other Mullins 3 to get a second place. That might be the best thing you can do in terms of if you're looking for a little bit of value. But I personally can't desert Kopek de Boards. Just more heart than anything else. But I'm not sure I'll be putting my money where my mouth is at that price. We'll take a little look at the 4:50 next then, Paul. That is the Champion Novices Chase. That's another Grade 1 race, so they kind of come a bit thick and fast here. And I've got some unfinished business here with Ballyburn.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that he can get over this and get the job done. Obviously, the horse that got the better of a few horses at Cheltenham, Lecky Watson, also goes here, as well as, a couple of other Mullins runners, as is the case with many of the fields. What do you like the look of here?
Well, again, Willie Mullins is set to dominate. He's got Ballyburn, as you mentioned, who made that dreadful jumping error at Cheltenham that put him out of the big 3-mile novice chase. After that, he couldn't really recover. It was won by Lecky Watson. And so I think that if he's right and he's over that, Ballyburn may well be the one to beat. But I've got to say that if we knew he stayed, and we don't know, Imperial Pass, another one for Willie Mullins, who won at Aintree over 2.5 miles in the Grade 1. He was really pretty impressive there. He might be the value here of the 3, but again, it's a very tough betting race, and this is a problem when you have so many horses from one stable dominating the market. You're never quite sure which way to jump.
I know, and usually the stable jockey's a pretty good indicator, like with the likes of Paul Townend, but you've got to be honest, when it comes to Mullins, his second string horses are better than most other stables' first string. So you've got to give a shout to any of them, regardless of where Paul Townend is. And I've got to be honest here, though. I think the key is in the name with him. I have been Ballyburned before.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it happens again, but I'm sticking with him this time. I think that actually, because of what happened, he's actually a reasonable price. If you'd have taken out that Cheltenham run and you look that he was a second to a horse like Sagino at Kempton, I like that form and I'm going to stick.
Well, it's a fair point, but I've got to make the point, Izzy, that the race against Sagino was over 2 miles.
Yes.
The only time he's gone over 3 miles was at Cheltenham, where he was beaten as much as anything by his own jumping. So he's got to put his jumping together properly. Otherwise, he's got no chance of getting home over the 3 miles one. And it's a pretty stiff finish as well at Punchestown. People don't always realise that.
No. Yeah, I would have. It's difficult, isn't it? Because the question is obviously whether he will stay, but it's hard to make that judgment when that jumping error kind of knocked the stuffing out of him.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm willing to hope for a better round of jumping and think that he can. But yeah, against Lecky Watson, really Lecky Watson appears overpriced. But like I said, I know you can't always read too much into it, but Paul Townend's keeping the faith.
Yeah, he's keeping the faith. Of course, he wouldn't have been able to ride the other one, Impere Pass, because JJ Slevin is the contracted jockey for Simon Munir and Isaac Sued. And this is a horse that's only rated £1 behind Ballyburn and rated the same as Lecky Watson. So at 5-1, as opposed to 13-8 or Ballyburn or 11-4 Lecky Watson, I think Impere Pass is probably the value in the race for me.
Yeah, and the double green usually do quite well, don't they? They usually have a few winners popping around here and there. Right, we are going to move on though, and we're going to look at the 6 o'clock, and that's the Champion Chase. So in here, we've got Factifile, Runaway, Ryanair winner, Marine Nationale, who won the Champion Chase. And I know, Paul, we kind of spoke about this a little bit when we did our Cheltenham review, that it was actually quite exciting that some of these horses were all going to start potentially running against each other. We get to see it already. It's like Christmas has come early. You've also got in here the likes of El Fabiolo, whose jumping just seems to absolutely destroy him. But you've also got front runner Solness in here as well, who was no pushover. Again, that jockey JJ Slevin on board this time for Joseph O'Brien. Captain Guinness, one-time Champion Chase winner from years gone by. And then you've got the outsider of the field here, we've got to say this right now, Seneca. And he's at 66-1. So a small field, but a packed field of talent. Where does your eye go to?
Well, this is the best of the Grade 1 races on day one. This is the mouth-watering race, really. And you were quite right about El Fabiolo. I think his jumping will be put under pressure, and I think he may well be found out again. I think we'll see Solness going off in front, because that's the way he races best. He wasn't able to dominate at Cheltenham. If you remember, there was an awkward start, and he was the ones that didn't get away well, and he was always on the back foot after that. But I'll be surprised if he's good enough to win, despite him having done so well twice in Grade 1s at Leopardstown earlier in the season. For me, the value is Marine Nationale, because he's a pure and simple 2-miler at the moment. Yes. Terrific cruising speed. He jumps well. Factifile is a superb horse as well, but he's very good at 2.5 miles. He's very good also at 3 miles. Yeah. Only Galopin Des Champs has really beaten him over 3 miles recently. Yeah. And I think he might just be taken out of his comfort zone. And so I think the 9-4 Marine Nationale to beat Factifile, for me, is the best bet on day one at Punchestown.
I think that is I would fully agree with you there, Paul. I think the same. I think Factifile, I think you're perhaps pushing it over 2 mile. I think it might just be a bit quick for him. Whereas, like you say, Marine Nationale is a through and through 2-miler, and I think he should relish this. So I fully agree with you. That's it for the Grade 1s on day one of Punchestown. Have you got any others that you would like to put up for the first day of the Punchestown Festival?
Well, there's some very good handicap races, and amongst them is the 340 there, which is a listed handicap hurdle over 2 miles. It's incredibly competitive. 17 runners. Lark in the Morning for Joseph O'Brien is one of the favourites, along with a well-backed horse of Gavin Cromwell's called Serena Mond. But I'm interested in the 2 British contenders here. Willful for John Joe O'Neill, who really got his act together at Ayr last time out at the Grand National meeting up in Scotland a couple of weeks ago, and also Brentford Hope. And I've been tossing up between these two, and I think Brentford Hope is one that probably is going to do best of the Brits. Okay, he was last of 4 at Wincanton last time out, but it was behind Golden Ace and Burdett Road, who, of course, did what they did in the Champion Hurdle. He's got some very good form with Constitution Hill prior to that. And so I think he'll do for me. Brentford Hope at around 9-1.
He almost picked up the spoils, didn't he, at Trials Day at Cheltenham when Constitution Hill gave the last a clout. Yeah. So
Yeah.
He could, so yeah, he absolutely could be there. I always used to think with Brentford Hope he wanted a lot of rain. That's the only thing. But over more recent years, he's shown to be a bit more versatile on the ground. Where I
Exactly.
remember historically, it used to be like he would only run if it was raining. But since he's been
Yeah.
with Harry Derham, they've certainly been able to get a bit more versatility in there. That's a very, very good shout. I'll be looking out for both of those as well. Nice to have that little bit of a British angle, a few British raiders. We're used to those Irish raiders coming over to the British festivals. So maybe we'll have a little bit of reverse like Katie Colour in the Irish National. So
Yeah. Get a bit of our own back for a change.
yeah, absolutely. That is all we've got time for our day one Punchestown preview. Don't forget to like and subscribe and stay tuned for day two.